Hello everyone, good evening once again. We are back after a gap of 1 week. That was last Friday, which was primarily because of the festive weekend. So today, Dhruv sir will be taking the advanced level of uh, quant and DI, right? And then, of course, the days are coming closer and closer with some of the top IIMs, the primary IIMs, A, B, C, L, have already closed their applications, while NEETI, which is now IIM Mumbai, is they have opened their applications. NMAT is already on, but I'm not sure how many people uh, are taking. And of course, uh, uh, well, NEETI, which is now IIM Mumbai, has now hiked their fees as well by 50%, I guess. And the cutoff is also somewhere around reduced probably to around no, sorry, the weightage of cat has been reduced to 50. So without wasting much time, Trivedi sir, it's all yours. Let's have a great session once again. This is our sixth session, and we have received phenomenal responses from students, and some has requested some special classes to be taken also. But before that, this is our sixth one, and let's have a very engaging and interacting session. Over to you.
Right. Thank you. Hi, good evening, everybody. Manish, I can see you have sent a good evening. So, good evening to you too. Uh, what we are going to do today, before I start presenting the PPT, is we are going to basically look into what we did last time in terms of content DI, and then carry it forward with some live examples from previous year's questions and see what are the things to be kept in mind while preparing for the exam. Okay. Now that there is less than a month left, there'll be some narratives that I will be changing from last time. So last time I had said a lot of things about not to leave any chapter, preparing for easy questions from all chapter and etc. Having assumed that you have taken those advices into account, and now that it is almost a month that we have done the last session and you have prepared yourself, maybe today I will take the risk of changing my narratives a little bit for the last 30 odd days, so that we now go into the last leg of preparation. Okay, so let me first of all share the PPT that I have in mind for you today. All right, let's first of all remind ourselves what we had discussed last time. Okay, last time I had specifically said that these few chapters that I am talking about, that is numbers and its properties, equations, ratio, proportion, variation, percentages, and geometry, these are some of the chapters that I had specifically said that you just cannot leave. Okay, if somebody might claim that I'm bad with percentages and therefore should I dump the percentages chapter, I will say no. Somebody will say that I am not so great in geometry, should I dump geometry, I will say no. The simple reason why these 3-4 chapters I have insisted that they needs to be a part of your portfolio is because without them the whole quant chapters will fall apart. This forms the basic foundation of quant. Okay, now if you remember, I had demonstrated in the last class about quant that if you look at time and distance or time and work as just ratio, proportion, variation, then life becomes easy. So therefore every other chapter that you talk about, whether it is coordinate geometry, trigonometry, mixture allegation, simple interest, compound interest, they can all be seen and as an extension of these few chapters. So uh, one thing that remains same as a narrative is, even in the last few days I want you to revise, reinforce, learn every possible concept from these few chapters. You will see for yourself when you are doing specifically these chapters, then Even in the exercises of these chapters, from whichever book you are studying, there will be questions on time and work, there will be questions on time and distance, there will be questions on mixtures, allegations, and so on and so forth. So these chapters are not standalone by themselves. They are concepts, but they are not standalone by themselves. Okay, this is where we had discussed it. Now what I want to do is, I want to just streamline and write down some two three, I'll go to the depth of it, and maybe shortly some of the things that are like a must do. For example, when you are talking about numbers and properties, if you remember, we had talked about numbers and properties, and I have talked about different types of numbers. So we talked about even number, odd number, prime number, composite number, rational number, irrational number, and so on and so forth. The basic definitions of integers, natural numbers, whole numbers, and so on and so forth. We talked about the concept of factors and multiples. Okay. And from there, coming out with HCF LCM. Okay. We talked about factorials. Okay, and from factorials we had discussed about highest power in a factorial for certain number, highest power available, and number of zeros that will play a very very important role. Okay, in factorials, this is some concept that has always come. And obviously the concept of division and remainders. Okay, these are some of the things in numbers which you definitely should try to understand, get a thorough understanding of these subjects, because if these concepts are clear, then more or less 80 to 90% of the questions can be tried out in from numbers, and that will make your life easy. Okay, so these concepts that I just listed them down, maybe make a note at some notebook or something like that, and therefore they'll be easily done for you. Okay, when it comes to equations, let's first of all talk about linear equations. Now, along with solving of linear equations, one thing that you need to understand is the conditions for infinite solution, the condition for unique solution, and the conditions for no solution. Okay, this is something which very clearly has come in the exams a lot. Okay, what are the conditions based on which a set of linear equations can have infinite solution, unique solution, or no solution? Multiple concepts based on that. Wherever you can see that concept in every theory book that you will see, which are preparing you for CAT, this is one concept which I think you should definitely grasp. Okay, similarly, when you are talking about quadratic equations, I will not go beyond quadratic equations at this stage, because if you have not done cubic equations or polynomials, let it be for last 20-30 days or so. Okay, when you're talking about quadratic equations, the concept of discriminant. Okay, the concept of discriminant. Okay, and what does it mean? Okay, so the graphical representation of a quadratic function, and therefore what are the two solutions and what do they mean, what are those zeros of that function, and what do I mean by discriminant, and what are the properties of discriminant, what happens if they are greater than equal to 0, greater than 0, less than 0, and so on. That is something as a concept you should definitely understand, along with obviously solving. Okay, linear equation solving, I'm sure most of you who have prepared for CAT by now, is not a problem. So you already know that in linear equations we have the age based problems, we have number of coins based problems, 2-digit number, 3-digit number based questions. Okay, typical ones. Okay, high coefficients, and so on and so forth. So practice all the type of questions that are there. I'm sure you will get a huge database out of it, so it does not matter. But the concepts that I just listed down, these are some of the things which very clearly you should grasp, if you have not grasped it by now. Okay, percentages, very clearly a very very important chapter, because percentages play a very very important role, not only in quant but also in terms of data interpretation and data sufficiency part. Okay, so understanding the concept of percentages, understanding the concept of which base to be taken, percentage more, percentage less. Okay, all those concept of cost price, selling price, mark price, profit percent, loss percent, okay, discount percent. That whole concept about profit and loss is something which you should definitely grasp. Okay, similarly, when you are talking about percentages, very clearly the concept of mixtures. Okay, how are mixtures prepared? Milk and water mixture, uh, water and alcohol mixture. These are the typical type of questions that come in the paper. Understanding the concept of mixture, and when you're talking about mixture, you will get that word homogeneous mixture. Homogeneous mixture means that it is not like oil and water, that oil is floating over the water, it gets mixed thoroughly. Okay, so alcohol water or milk and water, where the two liquids are not distinguishable, those type of mixture question, uh, very clearly you will need to practice in the percentages question. These are specifically those things which have which you can call FAQs of CAT. Okay, ratio proportion variation, again we have already talked about it. Ratio proportion variation में you need to understand the concept of variation in terms of क्या increase करने से क्या decrease होता है. For example, we had discussed this कि जब time and work का question है, लोग increase होते हैं तो number of days required decrease होते हैं, लेकिन लोग increase होते हैं तो काम, the work per day increases. Okay, so what is positively varying and what is negatively varying is something as a concept that you should definitely learn to do that. I want to spend a little bit time into geometry, and there is a special slide on geometry for the simplest reason that geometry is perhaps the most feared uh, chapter of among the basics chapter of quant. Okay, people are comfortable with percentages, people are comfortable with numbers, but people are just not comfortable with geometry. Okay, now I'll give you the easiest possible clue to this. Okay, when you are learning geometry, learn the properties of triangle well. If you learn properties of triangle, you don't have to remember even one single formula for let's say trapezium or a rectangle or a hexagon or a pentagon or something like that. Everything, this is the truth of life. The whole geometry that you are doing right now, the Euclidean geometry that you are doing right now, the 2D geometry that you will be doing right now, is purely based on triangle. Okay, please understand that Euclid made theory only for triangle, the rest of the things got developed from triangle. Okay, so if you know that in a triangle, if I am talking about a triangle, and if you actually know the properties of triangle as let's say the area is half into base into height, trust me, you can find out everything else possible from a triangle. Okay, so if somebody tells you that how do I find a trapezium out of it, a trapezium is nothing but two triangles. Okay, so this is two triangles, let's say this is the height. Okay, this is the height. Now if I make it into two triangles, okay, let's name them as ABCD. Okay, so if you look at triangle BDC, it is half into BD, sorry, half into my mistake, base hoga, so half into DC, half into DC into height. Similarly, if you look at triangle ADB, it is half into AB into height. Okay, now if I take the area of this triangle and if I take the area of this triangle and add it together, that is what I am going to get as the area of the trapezium. Okay, which is going to be equal to half into, if I add these two, okay, half into AB plus DC into height. And if you look at a theory book, they will just say it is half into sum of the parallel sides into height, which is nothing but sum of the areas of the two triangles. So fundamentally, what I'm trying to say is that if you know the area of different types of triangles, so for example, if you can derive that the area of a equilateral triangle is root 3 by 4a square. Okay, yeah, your job is done. Because if you look at a hexagon, a regular hexagon, it is basically 6 equilateral triangles. Okay, so every other polygon can be actually derived from triangles. So the only thing that you need to study geometry well, if you want to improve your basics, is triangle. And okay, I will add on to it, because you may not be requiring calculus to understand it, the properties of circle. Okay, and if you can mix up triangle and circle, trust me, 80 to 85% of your job is done in terms of geometry, as well as coordinate geometry, as well as trigonometry. Okay, so those people who have tried, you will see for yourself that even in trigonometry, you really don't, the type of questions that has come in cat, except for some identities where they ask about tan and cot and something like that. If you know the 30 60 90 triangle, okay, if you know the 30 60 90 triangle ke ratios, and if you know the 45 45 90 triangle, okay, you will be able to solve almost all the questions of trigonometry, including height and distance. Okay, so my suggestion to you is that please do your triangle well. Please understand all the possible properties of a triangle, including sum of the angles, sum of any two sides greater than the third side and its implications, uh, the different types of triangles that you can think of, equilateral triangle, isosceles triangle, what are the different properties. If you do that, आपको और कुछ चाहिए नहीं होगा, आपको हेक्सागन का या ऑक्टागन का या नोनागन का फॉर्मूला रटने का जरूरत नहीं है. All these questions can be actually derived from triangle, and if you know the properties of a circle, including putting a circle inside a triangle, or a triangle inside a circle, or a quadrilateral inside a circle, all the questions can be answered using this concept. So therefore, my strong recommendation to you is again that triangle के कोई property आप नहीं छोड़ना है. ठीक है, ज्योमेट्री में ट्राइंगल के प्रॉपर्टी अच्छे से कर लीजिए, बाकी भी करिए, आपके पास बहुत टाइम है, 25 दिन कम नहीं होते, प्लस जेड के लिए बहुत दूर है. ऑल आई एम फंडामेंटली सेइंग इज दैट इवन इन ज्योमेट्री, if you want to get rid of the fear of different complicated figures, look at it as a extension of triangles, and you should be able to get the answer. Okay, now the next part of this session, I actually want to spend some time on showing you that how cat plays with your mind in terms of you knowing the details. Okay. Please always remember that cat is not a test of only knowledge. Okay. This is one mistake that most of the cat aspirants do, is that they think that cat is a test of only knowledge. Okay. And therefore, if I uh, prepare like I was preparing for my entrance exams in 12th, whether it was IIT, JEE, or any other exam, something like that. That is how I should prepare for CAT right now. Okay, CAT does not test only knowledge. CAT also wants to check your managerial acumen, which will mean that in every question of CAT, or I should not maybe use the word every, but in most of the questions of CAT, there will be some components which checks whether you are a good reader, whether you are a cautious person, whether you look into the details and find out the details in each case. Do you think, uh, do you explore, do you have an explorative mind, and so on and so forth. They are not the class 10th ka board exam. Okay, most of the questions that come in CAT, they look similar to what might have come in the board exams or the IIT exams, but they are not. That is where the catch is, because those are tests of knowledge. This is a test of knowledge, yes, maybe 20% of it, but the rest 80% is actually checking your knowledge about understanding the paper, managerial acumen, and so on. So this is one question that came in CAT long back, I think 2014, yeah, 2015, pre-COVID, obviously. And I have taken all the questions to be pre-COVID because this is 1 year where I think very clearly we'll be moving more closer to pre-COVID than during COVID. So this is one question wherein we are asking that how many triplets of distinct integers satisfy the property that their sum is equal to their product. Okay. uh, Interesting question, a lot of people online, so why don't you try it out? I'll explain you the question. They're talking about distinct integers, three distinct integers, because they're talking about triplets. So we are talking about three distinct integers. That means none of them should be equal. Three distinct integers which satisfy the property that their product and their sum should be equal. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a clue rather. There is one triplet like 1, 2, and 3, wherein if you see their sum is equal to 1 plus 2 plus 3, 6, and their product is equal to 1 into 2 into 3, 6. So 1, 2, 3 therefore comprises of one triplet, a set of three numbers, one triplet. Now the question is, how many such triplets exist? Okay, so Manish and Shweta saying 3, Nirmalya also saying 3. How many such triplets exist in the number system? If somebody can tell me what are the other triplets, they could figure out. 1, 2, 3 is one such triplet. Is there any other such triplet? Set of three numbers. How many such set of three numbers exist apart from 1, 2, 3? Can anyone figure it out? So Nirmalya now has changed the answer to A, saying only one. Anybody else? Okay. Uh, till now, okay. Till now, I have not got the correct answer, is what I can tell you. Dipanshu says C. There are three such triplets, Dipanshu. Anybody who can point out what are the other triplets? Okay. I could not find any. So is there only 1, 2, 3? Is there any other? Okay. Now, why this question is a CAT question and why this question is not a class 10 question? That is what is important to understand. The devil lies in the detail. Okay. They are asking about integers. Now, what are integers? The devil lies in the detail. The integers. They did not say whole numbers. They did not say natural numbers. They did not say positive integers. They said integers. Now, the moment I say integers, the thing that you need to keep in mind is integers are of three types. There are negative integers. Kushal, I'm very happy. Yes, absolutely, Kushal. Absolutely fantastic. There are negative integers, there are positive integers, and there are zero. Okay, so if I don't build that mindset, Kushal has done a fantastic job. Kushal, thank you for pointing it out. Fantastic. There are negative integers, there are positive integers, and there are zero. So the moment, the mindset that they're checking is when you see a question with integers, do you think only positive integers, or do you have that explorative mind which says okay, मैंने positive integer check कर लिया 1 2 3 है, ठीक है, मेरे को negative integers भी check करना है, and the moment you check out negative integers you will find another triplet, -1, -2, and -3. Now if you look at -1, -2, -3, the summation becomes -6 and the product also becomes -6, and therefore many of the people will jump to say nee, I have got the next one that is just 2, and then Kushal will wake up, and Suchandra will wake up, and they will suddenly come up and say okay, मैं तो zero भूल गया. ठीक है. Now the moment you put zero in the picture, the moment I say -1 0 1, they are all distinct integers. Their product is zero because there is a zero involved, and then sum is zero. Same thing goes for -2 0 2, and thus -3 0 3, -4 0 4, and that therefore there are fantastically infinite such triplets which will satisfy the condition. Now, if this question would have come in class 10th, then I don't think they would have asked you distinct integers. They would have asked you distinct natural numbers. And the moment it is distinct natural number, there is just one, that is 1 2 3. Okay, the moment they are talking about integers, they want to check whether your radar works on integers, and then can you play with it. Okay, so fundamentally be very very clear about these definitions. And when I say integers, what should get triggered in your mind is the different types of integers. So you remember I started my session by saying that different types of numbers and what are those types of numbers is going to be a very very important criteria here. Okay, let me throw you another question. This is one question that had come in cat 2019, just before COVID had hit. Okay, read the question, think over it. What they are fundamentally saying is there is a factory which has got 10 machines. Each of the 10 machines produce pins of 1 gram each. Okay, so everything was going fine in life. However, one machine became defective and is producing pins of 2 grams each. Okay, and we have only one weighing machine. The weighing machine, there was actually a photo in the paper. This is the weighing machine. It is those weighing machine जहाँ पे आप सामान रख सकते हो और आपको weight दिखा देगा. ठीक है, and there is nothing else to determine weight in that factory. कितने weighings चाहिए होंगे to determine that faulty machine. Okay, कितने बार मुझे weighing करना पड़ेगा with certain amount of pins obviously, so that I can determine the faulty machine. Minimum number of weighings. ओके, एंड कॉमन सेंस विल टेल यू हमें 10 बार करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि मैं मशीन 1 से एक रखूंगा तो 1 ग्राम दिखाएगा, फिर दूसरा वाला रखूंगा तो 2 बार दिखाएगा. लकी हुए तो अगर 3 नंबर मशीन डिफेक्ट हुआ तो मैं उसमें रखूंगा तो 2 ग्राम दिखाएगा. बट द वर्स्ट पॉसिबल केस इज ऑब्वियसली दैट मेरा 10th मशीन खराब हो और उसका मैं जब पिन रखूंगा तो मुझे उसमें 2 ग्राम दिखाएगा. इज देयर एनी अदर वे, और इज कैन इट बी डन इन लेसर नंबर ऑफ वेज? Anybody wants to try? There has been enough clues given in the question, is what I can tell you. That is what they want to check. Nobody wants to attempt? Okay. Nothing that you can, quickly figure out or something. But the devil again lies in the detail. Okay. This line, ये जो bracket में लिखा हुआ है, should have given you the clue. Okay. Should have given you the clue. If you have your basics clear, if you know numbers and properties of numbers, if you remember the summations and how to calculate the summations and this and that and etc., think it this way. I already know that there are 10 machines. I know that there is a machine 1, there is a machine 2, there is a machine 3, there is a machine 4, there is a machine 5, and so on. What I can do is, I can take just one pin from machine 1. I can take 2 pins from machine 2. I can take 3 pins from machine 3. I can take 4 pins from machine 4. And as such, I can take 10 pins from machine 10. ओके, तो मशीन 1 से मैंने 1 पिन लिया, मशीन 2 में से 2 पिन लिया, मशीन 3 में से 3 पिन लिया, मशीन 4 से मैंने 4 पिन लिया, एंड सो ऑन, ऐसे करके मशीन 10 से मैंने 10 पिन लिया. तो टोटल मेरे पास कितने पिन्स हो गए? n into n plus 1 by 2. ओके, टोटल मेरे पास कितने पिन्स हो जाएंगे? n into n plus 1 by 2. 10 into 11 by 2, so total 55 पिंस हो गए। तो अगर कोई मशीन खराब नहीं होता, अगर कोई भी मशीन खराब नहीं होता, तो मेरा टोटल ग्राम्स कितने आने चाहिए थे? मेरे टोटल ग्राम्स आने चाहिए थे 55 ग्राम्स। नाउ हियर इज द फैंटास्टिक थिंग, अगर मशीन 1 खराब है तो ये 55 ग्राम्स नहीं दिखाएगा, 56 ग्राम्स दिखाएगा, क्योंकि उसका एक ही पिन था और एक ही पिन का 1 ग्राम ज्यादा है। लेकिन अगर मशीन 2 खराब है तो उसके दोनों पिन 1-1 ग्राम एक्स्ट्रा है, तो ये 55 ग्राम्स ना दिखा के 57 ग्राम्स दिखाएगा। सिमिलरली अगर मशीन 3 खराब है तो ये 58 ग्राम्स दिखाएगा। So therefore, just by taking these 55 pins, weighing them together, whatever the value comes can determine that machine which is faulty. And therefore, practically, I can just find out from one way by taking these 55 pins. Okay, so this is where the line lies. This is where it says that assume enough number of sample pins are there from the machines available. This is what is important. The devil lies in the detail. Okay, अगर वो बोल देते कि you can take maximum 1 pin from each machine, then there would have been a problem. But they said चिंता मत करो, जितना pins लेना है ले लो. Which is where you should start thinking that can I take more pins from one machine so that I can calculate and I can find out the answer. And just by one weighing, I can actually find out which one is the faulty machine. Okay, quant, that is exactly what I'm saying, that these questions may not come in class 10th exam, but they definitely are questions which make you think in cat. So don't think like a class 10th boy. Okay, the important point in quant as well as DI, and I'll show you some questions in DI as well, is that you need to think, is there anything in the question which I must take a note of, specially because this is not a class 10 question wherein I jump into calculate. Okay, for DI, taking forward exactly the same thing. Okay, it is very, very important to be observant. Remember, the name of the subject is data interpretation, not data calculation. So don't rush into calculate. Think कि हमें कैलकुलेशन करने का जरूरत भी है कि नहीं. Please, whenever you are seeing the question, if you remember in the last session, I had specifically said that अगर आपका डेटा ही 80% तक आपको समझ में ना आए तो आपको वो अटेम्प्ट ही नहीं करना है. तो देयरफॉर ये बहुत जरूरी है कि जब आप क्वेश्चन को देखें, डेटा को देखें, तो डेटा को समझें. इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट यू अंडरस्टैंड द डेटा, look at the data, look at the definitions given in the data, look at the nodes, subnodes, units given in the data before you start doing the question. Okay, sometimes the question becomes too easy or too difficult depending on the language that you miss out. Okay, so again, let's understand it by an example. And since I don't have enough space or time to show you a full set, I have taken up some questions which came in previous years, uh, from some examples from previous years. So this is one question. It is a part of a question that came, a set of 4 questions that came. Look at the question and then try to answer the question that is given here. It talks about product wise sales value for ABCD Limited for the year 2007 to 2012-13. Okay, product sales value is given in rupees thousands. 2007-8 का वैल्यू दिया हुआ है. 5 प्रोडक्ट है आपके ABCDE. ठीक है, definitions given है. SAGR is simple annual growth rate, CAGR is compounded annual growth rate. Whether it matters or not for this question, it does not matter. They're asking for maximum percentage increase in sales value for the product D was in which year. Okay, maximum percentage increase for product D was in which year given. So we are essentially supposed to compare various values in this column. Okay, now on the face of it, it looks like a very difficult question, because fundamentally what we have to do is we'll have to calculate 690 से 795 कितना परसेंटेज इंक्रीज है. ठीक है, 795 से 740 ना चेक करने से भी चलेगा, बिकॉज वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट इंक्रीज. यहाँ पे तो डिक्रीज हो गया, तो चलो एक रेस्पाइट मिल गया. ठीक है, 740 से 800 कितना परसेंटेज इंक्रीज है, 800 टू 850 कितना परसेंटेज इंक्रीज है, 850 टू 900 कितना परसेंटेज इंक्रीज है, एंड सो ऑन. एंड देयरफॉर assuming that okay, बेसिक्स लाइक बेस बड़ा होता जाता है एंड दिस दैट एंड सो ऑन, आपको वो सब नहीं पता. ठीक है, आप इस क्वेश्चन को करने के लिए कम से कम 2 से 3 मिनट लगा दोगे, because you will have to check each of the values. you'll have to check 690 के याद रखिएगा, ये एब्सोल्यूट वैल्यू नहीं पूछा है, परसेंटेज इंक्रीज पूछा है, राइट. सो इफ आई लुक एट परसेंटेज इंक्रीज फ्रॉम हियर टू हियर, it is approximately 105, that is 795 minus 690 with respect to 690 into 100, which will mean that we are talking about 105 by 690 into 100. You'll have to figure this out, how much percentage is this, right? And then you calculate 740 से 860 by 740 कितना percentage है, ज़्यादा है, कम है, and so on and so forth. The devil is in the detail, and that is what makes this question an absolutely fantastic question. If you have noted the question carefully, it says product sales value in rupees thousands. वैल्यू, क्वेश्चन में क्या पूछा है? क्वेश्चन में वैल्यू नहीं पूछा है, क्वेश्चन में पूछा है सेल्स वॉल्यूम. द टू वर्ड्स आर डिफरेंट. एक पूछा है सेल्स वैल्यू, जहां पे जो यूनिट दिया गया है वो सेल्स वैल्यू का है, जबकि क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है सेल्स वॉल्यूम का, राइट. एंड द मोमेंट यू सी दिस डिफरेंस, the first thing that you should have as a thought process in your mind is कि बस उधर पे वैल्यू लिखा हुआ है, यहाँ पे वॉल्यूम लिखा हुआ है, ये प्रिंटिंग मिस्टेक तो नहीं हो सकता. कैट वाले प्रिंट ऐसे सिली प्रिंटिंग मिस्टेक नहीं करते. मतलब IIM वाले हैं, IIM अहमदाबाद वाले क्वेश्चन पेपर बना रहे हैं, अच्छे अच्छे लोग हैं, बड़े लोग हैं, ऐसे स्टूपिड ये हम नॉर्मल लोग कर सकते हैं, बट दे आर बिग शॉट पीपल, दे विल नॉट डू सच सिली मिस्टेक्स कि ऊपर लिखा हुआ है सेल्स वैल्यू, नीचे लिखा हुआ है सेल्स वॉल्यूम. And then if you know the difference between the two, sales value is in terms of rupees, sales volume is in terms of either number of units sold or in kgs or in tons, etc, etc. And therefore, unless the question had a conversion factor from rupees to number of units, connecting it with a selling price, this question is indeterminate. And it does not require more than 30 seconds to understand that. I would not even bother to go into calculating the percentages and etc, provided I understand and I see that ऊपर सेल्स वैल्यू दिया हुआ है, नीचे सेल्स वॉल्यूम दिया हुआ है. ठीक है, एंड वॉल्यूम का मतलब वॉल्यूम है, वॉल्यूम का मतलब रुपीस क्रोर्स नहीं है. अगर हम लोग टीवी बेच रहे हैं तो दो तरीके से हम लोग सेल्स को रिपोर्ट कर सकते हैं. एक तो ये कि 10 करोड़ का टीवी बिका, 10 करोड़ रुपए का टीवी बिका, और दूसरा हम लोग बोल सकते हैं 50,000 यूनिट बिके, 50,000 कलर टेलीविजन बिके. दे आर टू डिफरेंट कॉन्सेप्ट्स ऑल टुगेदर. एक सेल्स वैल्यू है, सेल्स वैल्यू में हम लोग रुपीस में इसको अनाउंस कर रहे हैं. दूसरा सेल्स वॉल्यूम है, जहां पे नंबर ऑफ यूनिट्स के टर्म्स में हम लोग इसको एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं. वॉल्यूम इज वॉल्यूम, एंड देयरफॉर दिस इज ए क्लासिक एग्जांपल ऑफ क्वेश्चन जहां पे अगर आप ये नोटिस नहीं करते हो तो अल्टीमेटली आप ऑलमोस्ट 2.5-3 मिनट वो कैलकुलेशन करोगे. ठीक है, फिर आपका आंसर आएगा 2007 2008 9 10. ठीक है, नो नॉट 9 10 2012 13. ठीक है, आपका वो सब कुछ कैलकुलेशन करने के बाद आपका आंसर आएगा 2012 13, लेकिन एक्चुअली 2012 13 आंसर नहीं है. आपका आंसर शुरू में ही 30 सेकंड्स के बाद ही, अगर आपका इन हिंदी जैसे पारखी नजर है, अगर आपका पारखी नजर है, तो देयरफॉर वेरी क्लियरली यू विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट बस ऊपर सेल्स वैल्यू दिया हुआ है, नीचे सेल्स वॉल्यूम दिया हुआ है, तो क्यों टेंशन लेना, राइट? आई कैन वेरी क्लियरली से दैट आइदर तो मैं ढूंढ लेता हूं यहाँ पे कुछ सेलिंग प्राइस दिया हुआ है कि नहीं, कि एक यूनिट का सेलिंग प्राइस कितना है। अगर यूनिट का सेलिंग प्राइस नहीं दिया हुआ है तो मेरे पास वॉल्यूम नहीं निकल सकता, बिकॉज फंडामेंटली व्हाट शुड आई नो, आई शुड नो दैट सेल्स वैल्यू, total sales value will be equal to sales volume into unit price, isn't it? अगर मैं बोलता हूं आज 100 रुपए का चॉकलेट्स बिके और एक चॉकलेट 10 रुपए का है, तो मुझे पता चलता है 10 यूनिट चॉकलेट बिके हैं। दैट इज द ओनली कनेक्शन टू द स्टोरी। अगर ये कनेक्शन में ये तीन में से दो चीजों का पता हो तो तीसरे का पता चलता है, बट अगर एक ही चीज पता है तो बाकी दोनों चीजें नहीं पता चल सकते विदाउट द इंडिपेंडेंट आइडिया। सो देयरफॉर अगेन द डेविल इज इन द डिटेल। मेक श्योर दैट यू वेल व्हाइल यू चेक हेडिंग में क्या दिया हुआ है और क्वेश्चन में क्या दिया हुआ है। दैट विल सेव a huge lot of time, and trust me, out of the 2022 questions that are going to get in DI, there is a high chance that at least 2 to 3 questions will come something like that, which will have that twist in the tail in terms of what they are asking and how do you get that out, जबकि वो बहुत ऑब्वियस लगेगा। ठीक है, अगेन वन क्वेश्चन, सिंपल क्वेश्चन देखिए, a question from 2010 cat. Okay, it talks about the production and export figures of Indian leather industry from 1996-97 to 2000-2001. ठीक है, it says the entire production is either consumed in the domestic market or is exported. प्रोडक्शन का वैल्यू इन रुपीज मिलियन दिया हुआ है, एक्सपोर्ट का वैल्यू इन रुपीज मिलियन दिया हुआ है, तो दोनों ही रुपीज मिलियंस में है, वैल्यूज दिया हुआ है, एंड देन दे आर आस्किंग इन विच ईयर was the ratio of production to exports for Indian leather industry the lowest. So therefore we are talking about finding out the ratio of production, this figure to this figure, production to export. Okay, where it is the lowest. Okay, now when you try to solve this question, again you might think that बाबा रे मुझे सारे वैल्यूज चेक करने पड़ेंगे और देखो कितने गंदे गंदे फिगर्स है, 67,275 डिवाइडेड बाय 6658, दैट इज द रेशियो दैट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, 67,275 डिवाइडेड बाय 6658. ओके, दिस वी हैव टू कैलकुलेट। ठीक है, 96 97 के लिए, 98 99 के लिए दिस फिगर, सो वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट 1,13,285. ओके, डिवाइडेड बाय 10564, ये कौन सा रेशियो लोअर है, दैट इज व्हाट वी आर सपोज्ड टू फाइंड. सो अगेन there is a high chance that you will land up spending 2 minutes doing the calculations, ठीक है, getting the precise answers. That is not required. So first thing first that we need to understand is that सारे ईयर्स का चेक करना ही नहीं है, हमारे पास टोटल ईयर कितने हैं, हमारे पास टोटल ईयर है 1 2 3 4 5, जबकि ऑप्शन में तो देखोगे, ऑप्शन में वेरी क्लियरली 4 ही ऑप्शन है। ठीक है, दैट इज द फर्स्ट एंड द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट आइडिया। ठीक है, तो हमें वो 4 ही ऑप्शन चेक करने हैं। सेकेंडली, हमें प्रिसाइज कैलकुलेशन करने का जरूरत नहीं है, माने इज गुड जॉब डन, हमें प्रिसाइज कैलकुलेशन करने का जरूरत नहीं है, फॉर द सिंपलेस्ट रीजन दैट इफ यू जस्ट लुक एट इट, आई एम राइटिंग इट डाउन, यू मे नॉट इवन रिक्वायर टू राइट इट, 6658. okay, can I not give a glance to this and say that this value is definitely going to be greater than 10? अगर ऊपर 66580 होता तो ये वैल्यू 10 होता, तो दिस इज डेफिनेटली ग्रेटर देन 10. Similarly, if you divide this number by this number, this is definitely greater than 10. Okay, whether I will require this calculation more precisely or not, let's just first check the options. ठीक है, अगर इसको आप इससे डिवाइड करते हो, क्लोजली देखिए, 119,256 divided by 12052, right? This is less than 10 because ऊपर होना चाहिए था 120,520. This is less than 10 but very close to 10, almost. राइट, नीचे 12,000 है, ऊपर 1,20,000 होना चाहिए था, very close to 10 but almost 10. Okay, whereas if you look at the last one, 125250 divided by 13,900, this is far less than 10. बिकॉज अगर 10 होता तो ऊपर हमारा जो वैल्यू है 1,40,000 के करीब होना चाहिए था, 13,900 है नीचे. So you should have some value like 1,39,000. So just by observation, you can say that this will be definitely the lowest, because this is anywhere greater than 10. This is anywhere greater than 10. This is almost equivalent to 10, just less than 10. And this is far away from 10. This is almost close to 9. So I don't need those precise calculations. I can simply stay away from precise calculations, do the observations, and I should be able to get these answers. And therefore, one of the most important strategies that you do in DI is, before you rush into do the calculations, if you remember, I said that units need to be checked, the definition needs to be checked, whether what are the definitions and how do I calculate those definitions and so on and so forth. That definition needs to be checked. Okay, and very clearly, give me just 1 second please. Yeah, and very clearly, the definition needs to be checked. And last but not the least, you approach the question based on what has been asked. Okay, based on how it is being asked, what is asked. They are not really asking for precise values, they are asking for which one is the least. And therefore, if you can find out which one is the least, and that only requires comparing, one is greater than 10, one is less than 10, my job is done. Okay, and therefore this question also, which otherwise would have taken you more than 2 minutes or 3 minutes to do and find out the precise calculation, can be solved in less than a minute, provided you understand that दो वैल्यू 10 से ग्रेटर है, एक वैल्यू 10 से कम आ गया, तो पहले ही दो ऑप्शंस कट गए. जो दो ऑप्शन 10 से कम है, इसमें से एक 10 के बहुत पास है, एक 10 से बहुत दूर है, मेरा जॉब डन हो गया. डी इज द आंसर. Okay, so here very clearly plain simple observation would have helped. Okay, this question would have become immensely difficult if they would have asked you what is the ratio of production of exports uh, in the year 96-97. Then I have to do the calculation, because there would have been values here, right? And there could have been one value which is 10.1, the other value is 10.2, the other value is 10.23, and I'll have to do those calculations. Okay, but here they are not asking for precise calculation. And if they're not asking for precise calculation, if they're asking for a comparison, you should do the comparison. That is the whole theme that I am trying to build out here. Okay, and therefore, just to summarize today's session in terms of quant and DI, what we are doing, the first and the foremost thing, and never ever ignore that, basics are a must. Okay, I have given you some chapters of quant. I have even given you now the breakup of those chapters in terms of what is something that are uncompromisable. You should not miss them at all. ओके, दिस आर ए मस्ट. ठीक है, आप कुछ भी कर लो, आप बिना नंबर्स चैप्टर के या बिना परसेंटेजेस के कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर करके या बिना जियोमेट्री के कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर करके आप क्वांट में नहीं जा सकते. तो कम से कम वो तो आपको करना ही करना है. ठीक है, similarly even in DI, if you remember, we had talked about it in the last session also, that get your basics clear, get your understanding about different types of diagrams clear. So therefore, one thing that I'm assuming as on today is that you must have seen how a pie chart works, you must have seen how a bar chart works, you must have seen how a line graph or a all those diagrams work. So this is very important. If your basics are not clear, then very clearly you cannot just practice and think that the basics will come from practice. That they will not. They will slow you down. On the contrary, if your basics are clear, you will see for yourself that you will be able to find out alternative ways of solving the question, shortlist an answer. I had shown you last time that how even in a time and distance question, if your concepts about ratio proportion is clear, then you can shortlist the answer. So a big hope as on today is you had sincerely taken the last session. You have not ignored the basics. Okay, please don't do that. I have given you the chapter. I'm going to show that slide once again. These are the chapters that I talked about for quant. You simply cannot miss them. No chances, absolutely. ठीक है, ये चैप्टर्स करिए, और चैप्टर्स के में जो मैंने आपको बताया था कि नंबर्स में क्या क्या करना है, इक्वेशंस में क्या क्या करना है, ये आपको बिल्कुल कर लेना है. ठीक है, इसमें बिल्कुल रिस्क मत लीजिए. सॉरी, हाँ, क्वेश्चन करते वक्त be careful while reading what is exactly wanted. Are they asking for sales volume? Are they asking for sales value? Are they asking for least or highest, or are they actually asking for uh, the exact value or the exact calculation, or the absolute value increase, the percentage increase, or the absolute increase, and so on and so forth. This is something which will save a immense amount of time while you are preparing for your cat. Okay, I promised you that there is something that I'm going to change in terms of narration in this session. If you remember, in the last session, I had said that कोई भी chapter मत छोड़िए. If you remember, I had said that easy question या tough question chapter देख के नहीं आता. Easy question या tough question किसी भी chapter से आ सकता है. So therefore, at least till October end, you should study all chapters. Okay, and you should be clear that जो जो लॉगरिदम से भी इजी क्वेश्चन हो, और लॉगरिदम से कम इजी क्वेश्चंस आपको आ जाना चाहिए, कोऑर्डिनेट ज्योमेट्री से इजी क्वेश्चन आ जाना चाहिए, परमुटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन से इजी क्वेश्चन आ जाना चाहिए. ये मैंने शुरू में बोला था. Now we have reached a stage, so by October end, and today is October end. Okay, so we have reached an October end, and by now you should know your strong chapters and weak chapters. This is important. Okay, अभी आपको, assuming that you have worked on the suggestions that I had given, अभी आपके strong chapters, weak chapters आपको पता होना चाहिए. ठीक है, and therefore let's hope, and as I said, this is statistically also true, that you will get your fair share of questions from your strong chapters, your strong areas. Okay, that is always true. There will be there, तो होंगे. आप अगर आपके स्ट्रॉन्ग चैप्टर प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस है, या अगर आपके स्ट्रॉन्ग चैप्टर ज्योमेट्री है, तो ज्योमेट्री के इनफ नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चंस होंगे ही होंगे. डरने वाली कोई बात नहीं है. ठीक है, नाउ इज द टाइम. अब अक्टूबर खत्म हो गया है, 20-25 दिन बचे हुए हैं. नाउ मे बी you can start. I will not use the word dump, because dump is a very strong word कि आप एकदम ही छोड़ दो. But yes, 80% of your time should be spent on strengthening the already strong chapters and just keeping in touch with your not so strong chapters. ठीक है, पिछले एक महीने में कोशिश करने के बावजूद अगर ऐसा कोई चैप्टर है जो अभी तक पल्ले नहीं पड़ा है, और आप जब भी मॉक टेस्ट करते हो तो परमुटेशन के कॉम्बिनेशन के क्वेश्चन हमेशा गलत होते हैं, आई एम जस्ट टेकिंग एज एन एग्जांपल, then you can dump it. Now this is a very big deviation that I have taken from the last narration. Keep that in mind. I am just saying that now is not the time to learn anything new. Okay, now is the time to strengthen what we already know, go with those strong areas, and make sure that those strong areas are well done. Okay, so this is very, very important, and I'm putting a star on it, that you should know your strong areas and you should now play strong with those strong areas. ठीक है, तो अगर आप अभी परमुटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन के क्वेश्चन हफ्ते में आधा घंटा करते हो तो मुझे को चलेगा. I'm just taking an example. Maybe परमुटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन इज योर स्ट्रॉन्ग एरिया. आई एम जस्ट सेइंग दैट अगर आप बोलते हो कि नहीं तो, सर अभी ज्योमेट्री मेरा स्ट्रॉन्ग है, परमुटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन पल्ले नहीं पड़ रहा है, तो अगर आप बोलते हो कि सर अगले 2 हफ्ते में मैं बस एक एक्सरसाइज करूंगा परमुटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन का, हुआ तो हुआ, नहीं हुआ तो नहीं हुआ, आई एम ओके. बट इसका मतलब ये भी हुआ कि ज्योमेट्री के आप कम से कम एवरी ऑल्टरनेट डे और मे बी एवरी थर्ड डे you should do one exercise or a set of questions of 10 questions or 20 questions from the strong areas. ठीक है, that is one basic change. In the last 1 month, a very important thing for quant and DI, also for verbal, but verbal obviously more sectional tests also can be done. But I suggest that quant and DI preparation should be essentially from mock tests. ओके, बहुत ज्यादा आप सेक्शनल टेस्ट एक्सेट्रा करने का जरूरत नहीं है. अगर आप एवरी ऑल्टरनेट डे या एवरी इवन 3 days, ओके, आई जनरली सजेस्ट हफ्ते में 2 से 3. ठीक है, इवन इफ यू कैन सॉल्व वन फुल लेंथ मॉक कैट every 2 to 3 days later, that is what should be the source of your preparation for quant and LTI. This is assuming that your basics have been taken care of. Okay, now while you are doing the mock cats for especially quant and DI, English के दिन मैं थोड़ा सा और additional बोलूंगा, but whatever I'm going to say is true for English also, that after you have attempted the mock cat, don't end it there. 2 घंटे का मॉक हो गया, उसके बाद उस पेपर को दोबारा पूरी तरह से सॉल्व कीजिए, पूरी तरह से ईच एंड एवरी क्वेश्चन, इंक्लूडिंग दोस क्वेश्चंस व्हिच यू कुड सॉल्व एंड दोस क्वेश्चंस व्हिच यू कुड नॉट सॉल्व, विदाउट टाइम लिमिट. सॉल्यूशंस अगर अवेलेबल है, सॉल्यूशंस देखिए. ठीक है, ताकि आप ये श्योर हो जाओ कि क्या हो रहा है क्या नहीं हो रहा है. दैट शुड बी समथिंग व्हिच यू शुड नो. स्ट्रांग एरियाज, वीक एरियाज जो मैंने बात करा था. सी योर अटेम्प्ट पैटर्न. Attempt pattern is very very important. What is attempt pattern? Attempt pattern fundamentally means that क्या आप सही क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट कर रहे हो, इजी वाले कर रहे हो, टफ वाले कर रहे हो, क्या आपके क्वेश्चन सिलेक्शन सही है. एंड लास्ट बट नॉट द लिस्ट, योर टाइम मैनेजमेंट पैटर्न, व्हिच इज बेसिकली कि मोस्ट ऑफ द कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स विल गिव यू दिस एनालिसिस दैट ये क्वेश्चन करने में बाकी जनता ने कितना टाइम लगाया और आपने कितना टाइम लगाया. आपको ज्यादा टाइम तो नहीं लग रहा है, कम टाइम तो नहीं लग रहा है, आप जल्दीबाजी तो नहीं कर रहे हो, एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. ठीक है, these are some of the 3 things that you need to keep in mind and do the analysis and take corrective actions wherever is your requirement. Okay, in the next session I will take the verbal section, do a similar analysis about RC, about critical reasoning, about vocab, about sentence correction, what all do you need to do, and also take up some examples from previous years papers and try to solve them together as I did today, so that you can be making the preparation final. Okay, right, thank you very much. Nirmala, you can take over from here.
Thank you very much, Dhruvedi sir. Again, a very wonderful session. A lot of very, questions. The one which questions which you have given were very interesting. I'm sure that would carry a lot of learning for all of us. In fact, the key pointers which you mentioned, one being in geometry, triangle is the key.
Yes.
So be it hexagon or polygon, whatever, if you are able to have a dominations on the properties of triangle, then your 50% of the problems are solved, right?
Yes.
But at the end, when you said it is only 1 month left, and somebody should not try anything which is not so in the grip, or it is like even after putting up efforts, it is not coming up, maybe. So in that case, instead of trying to learn, should one go through the solved papers, just browse?
They can. I'm not against going through solved papers or going through previous year's papers. The only thing is that I'm saying is that this is not the time to learn anything new. This is more, the time should be more spent on strengthening your already strong areas, right? uh, Anything that you learn new, high chances that the pressure point that is building up, it will take away some of your already known concepts.
That's
Your
true. That's very
brain
true.
has a limited space. Yeah, your
Yeah, I
brain
can
has a
relate.
limited space, it will not expand it further.
I can relate to it, but the problem is we have a tendency to यार ये तो कर लेंगे थोड़ा सा और देख लेते हैं तो maybe I will be able to crack it. So that tendency somewhere comes in between, and then we are able to we may get trapped. So instead of doing that, 1 month अभी बच गया है. So should we also at the same time, while we keep on practicing whatever we the areas which are our strengths, also the weaknesses, a little bit of solved papers and all.
Definitely. I'm not telling, that's what I said, that I'm not using the word dump them. You can go back to them, keep on looking at them, and so on and so forth. Having said that, just to add to whatever you are saying, that we have the tendency to go back to there. Remember, CAT by all means is an adult paper. It is not a children's paper. Oh, US certification के साथ नहीं आता है, A certification के साथ आता है. So it needs to have a matured mind to strategize, right? So ये जो आप बोल रहे हो कि मेरा टेंडेंसी होता है कि मैं उसमें चला जाऊं, वो टेंडेंसी को थोड़ा कंट्रोल में रखना पड़ेगा. That is what is the sign of maturity. So all I'm fundamentally saying is don't fall into those traps. Yes, don't dump them. See as many questions as possible. If you have free time, why not? Absolutely. If you want to go back to the and see some solved examples, yes, absolutely. If you want to revise some basic concepts of the tough chapters, yes. But that should not be at the cost of what you already know, what you are already strong in, and what you have already finalized as your strong areas.
So another thing you mentioned is like your fair share will come,
Yes,
right? So is
yes.
there a do you see them, the question papers settles basically from IM, to give 30% of this, 30% of this, 30% of this, equal amount, or like equal share.
So I generally will not say that there is a specific pattern in terms of uh, equivalent distribution from all chapters or something like that. But having said that, CAT,
Unless a faculty is in love with some paper.
yes. But all I can tell you is that CAT does not check your knowledge. So a manager does not require properties of a triangle, or a manager does not require properties of time and distance. Okay, what they want to check is whether your aptitude towards quantity or not. And therefore, it is very unlikely that they will give 10 questions from permutation combination or 10 questions from functions. Very, very unlikely. They will spread it out. They will give everybody equal chance. They will try to ensure that a commerce student, science student, engineer, art student, everybody gets equal chance to crack, go at a, have a crack at the paper. So, very, very high probability. In fact, never ever it has happened that CAT is biased. Okay, there is an extremely high probability that the paper will be well distributed.
Thank you so much. So until next week, that is November 3rd, 8 to 9 p.m., we are coming back with VRC, that is verbal ability and reading and comprehension. And see you once again on the live thing with Dhruvajuti sir. In the meantime, you can come to our mock test and take as much as mock papers. We shall share the link in the comment section, and you can also apply to more than 300 B schools in one single window. You need to just click on the banner on the home page, and it will take you directly to all those B schools where you can also evaluate, you can select, you can put it in your wish list. You will be getting alerts, and from one single page you can apply to as many as B schools you want, and those ones which are your preferred destinations. So good night till then, and thank you once again all of you. Thank you.